We are living in a world that is driven by data. More and more enterprises are looking to leverage the power of data to make intelligent and accurate decisions. However, data today is also increasing in scale and complexity. The ability of companies to act on data on a real time basis will determine their future competitiveness. Organizations are looking for database systems that deliver high throughput at a low latency. Without database management, tasks have to be done manually and take more time. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to one more podcast with Analytics Insight. This is your host, Rangoli. And today we have with us Mr. Taimur Rashid, Chief Business Development Officer. And we will be discussing about the company and the importance of real-time data in achieving businesses growth across sectors. Hi, Taimur. It's a pleasure to be in this conversation with you today.
Hi, Rangoli. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
So let's start the podcast, Taimur, with telling us about Redis and the service that you offer to clients.
Absolutely. So Redis is an open source in-memory data structure store that can be used as a database, a cache, and a message broker. And Redis is the company behind the open source database. We also offer a commercial offering called Redis Enterprise, which is the commercial version of Redis with enterprise-grade features such as high availability, scalability, and security. And Redis Enterprise is available as software that can be self-managed on-premise or on the cloud. We also offer 100% cloud-based database management as a service as well. And that's available on all three clouds: AWS, Microsoft Azure, and the Google Cloud Platform.
Okay. Well, thank you for the lovely introduction, Taimur. And on that note, can you talk about the growing importance of data for business continuity?
Yeah, data is becoming increasingly important for business continuity as it enables organizations to make informed decisions and quickly respond to changing market conditions. And of late, we've seen so many changes, unexpected and unexpected, that so companies really have to be agile with how they look at the data. Now, by leveraging data, businesses can improve their operations, they can optimize their processes, and ultimately they can gain competitive advantage in the marketplace. Now, Redis plans to continue its growth trajectory by expanding its customer base, increasing our global reach, and introducing new features and capabilities to the Redis Enterprise platform. And as a company, we also aim to strengthen our partnerships with leading cloud providers as well as technology vendors.
Well, thank you, Taimur, for that comprehensive answer. And which actually brings me to my next question for today. And that is like, how is access to real-time data helping enterprises in achieving business growth? What are your views on that?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I think real-time data provides enterprises with that, up-to-minute insights into customer behavior, market trends, and business performance. And the shift between, kind of batch data to real-time data is one thing that companies are now really trying to aspire for. Now, this enables organizations to make better decisions. They can improve customer experiences and achieve that business growth that they want to. And a lot of that data is coming in real time from so many different systems. Now, the best way for customers to access that real-time data will really depend on specific data they're interested in. Where are the sources of that data? Is that coming from, APIs, mobile applications, or even third-party platforms? So the more organizations can identify these different sources of real-time data and build the right architectures internally to harness that data and then, ultimately make sense of it, it'll really give that competitive advantage that companies are really aspiring for.
Well, absolutely, Taimur. I absolutely agree that customer behavior is very important for any organization. And I think real data is definitely helping enterprises in achieving business growth. On that note, how is the demand increasing for database management due to the digital transformation and cloud migration?
That's a great question, Rangoli. And the way I like to look at it is you have these sequence of things that have happened, right? As more companies are putting their internal business processes, as well as their external ways of interacting with customers and consumers, digital transformation has really accelerated, right? And the need for tools and capabilities for digital transformation are available in the cloud. And so for many companies, the first step is migrating to the cloud, and driving the demand for database management is getting more critical, because as they migrate these systems to the cloud, and then they start thinking about harnessing the advantages of being in the cloud, such as access to data analytics systems, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, they really have to look at their data in a more unified way. And they have to really consider about storage management and analysis of now large amounts of data that are entering into their systems. And so they really have to think about robust database management systems that can handle complex workloads, ensure data availability. And ultimately, one of the most important things is adhering to a high level of security, because now you have more processes and more information, whether it's customer information, whether it's company confidential information, and therefore being very focused on security is going to be of paramount importance for companies.
Thank you, Taimur. And I think database management systems are important to businesses and organizations because they sort of provide a highly efficient method for handling multiple types of data, right? So, on that note, how can enterprises safeguard their volumes of data from cyber attacks? What are your views on that?
Well, that's a good question. And, to actually build on my last point there about security, enterprises need to safeguard, this massive amount of data that's entering into their systems. And, whether it's cyber attacks or, other forms of threat, implementing security best practices such as, access control, data encryption, regular backups is kind of table stakes. But companies also need to think about advanced security tools. And that gets into categories such as threat detection and response, identity, access management, and then data loss prevention. And as companies become very methodical and intentional about what are the basic security things that they need to have, at the same time, how can they think about more advanced capabilities around security, like I just mentioned, it'll really help enterprises put security as a first principle and ultimately safeguard the data, their business operations, customer data from cyber attacks, which continue to grow at a rapid pace.
Okay, moving on to next question, Taimur. What do you think? What are the new database management trends to watch out for in 2023 now that we've entered a new year? So what?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think every year presents an opportunity for, enterprises to think about what are those trends in the database management space that they should be aware of, but then more importantly, think about how they want to implement it within their own companies. And I would definitely say that look at with the vast amounts of data, the need for security, and ultimately the need for performance, it's going to be really important for companies to think about distributed databases, right? And being able to deploy them in the cloud in a way where you can ensure consistency, you can ensure availability, you can ensure all those things that customers and consumers just expect, but they tend to be those technically hard and difficult things to do. So distributed database is definitely one thing. I would say though now the ubiquity of access to machine learning and artificial intelligence, I mean, if you look at the availability and almost the democratization of APIs that give companies access to harness that data in a way where they can build generative AI applications, intelligent apps such as chatbots, putting natural language interfaces in front of their business processes or customer experiences. This is going to be a growing trend, right? And being able to sort of bring AI to the data is going to be really interesting, especially in 2023, I think. And then finally, I do think about this multimodal capability, which, we've talked about year over year, but I do feel that now it's coming to the point where it's a much more mature understanding for what it is. The technology and architecture there is much more readily available. And companies now can build experiences that take into account the multimodal nature of data, whether that is, in forms of text, audio, video, even some of these immersive experiences that, companies are offering through augmented reality and virtual reality. I think those could be really important. So as these new data types, these new data structures are going to be more readily available, for example, in a lot of database technologies, including even Redis, I think it's going to be really exciting to see these trends actually take shape in a way where they're very meaningful and relevant applications being built.
Well, that brings me to the end of this interaction, Taimur. And before ending the interaction, I would love to let our listeners know, like, what is the growth plan of Redis in the near future?
Good question. We're very excited and optimistic about our growth plan overall. Number one, as I mentioned, we do plan to expand our customer base, increase our global reach, and then as we introduce new features and capabilities into the Redis Enterprise platform, we can sort of go beyond this standard use case of enterprise caching and get into areas now that expand the usage of the underlying technology. And that gets into very interesting kinds of use cases for us, right? So whether it's in machine learning, where companies are modernizing their data platforms so that they can be real time in nature, all the way to what we see with things like Chat GPT and GPT-3 and 4. These large language models are going to depend quite a bit on data that can be stored in data systems like Redis, where you can store vector embeddings, you can search against them, and you can really actually then build intelligent applications on top of that. So we're really excited about these emerging areas that we can participate in, at the same time strengthening the partnerships that we have with the cloud providers. We do feel like there's such great access, such great relevance in how our technology can be tailored more towards industry use cases. And we see this across the cloud platforms as very industry specific, business outcome related ways of going to market. So we're pretty excited about that as well too, and very optimistic about the growth that we can see over the next few years.
Well, thank you, Taimur. And what I could conclude from our insightful interaction is that there is a need for robust database management platforms by organizations. Better data management platforms generate higher quality information, which leads to better decision making across sectors. So, database management systems are also serving as the backbone of several advanced technology practices like data science, data modeling, and machine learning. So that is all in today's interaction, and it was a pleasure to connect with you, Taimur, today. And I am sure our listeners found the interaction as insightful as I did. So thank you so much again for being with us.
Thank you so much, Rangoli. It was a pleasure talking to you, and look forward to next time.
Yes, thank you so much.